interruption. That minor pause. So hopefully those of you who are able to see the previous video about the best conversion rates are up to speed on the things I've been speaking about, and now we're ready to take on some more shining examples of what makes the best conversion rates and what makes them common with the other ones and what makes them distinct. So if you didn't watch the last video, I explained briefly some things about conversion rates, and you should probably go watch that if you're not familiar with conversion rates and what makes them so important to marketers. I'm not going to go through that whole list right now because you're already on the second video. So if you want, just go to the first one and watch that, and I'll be caught up to speed. But in short, conversion rates are a very important metric by which we measure the success rate of our funnels as marketers to bring in prospects to become clients or customers, okay, or things to that effect. And what makes them distinct and what makes them common with other ones that are the best has a lot to do with the mechanism and has a lot to do with the way that they present themselves. And what makes them distinct has a lot to do with setting themselves apart from other similar brands or topics, projects, or products or services by establishing themselves as high quality or high value or both, high authoritativeness. Those are all important elements. Trustworthiness, because trust is a thing that is earned. All right, trust is earned, it's not given. And some fine examples of this are, sites where you might typically buy an online product. For example, maybe you have been a long-standing customer of a product or a service like Netflix, right? For example, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't take a penny from them. I'm not sponsoring this video or anything like that. It's just an example of a very popular online service. We could be talking about Apple or any other product or service that's popular, that has a lot of success converting visitors into customers. Okay? It could be a sports fan club for all I care, a music fan club, doesn't matter. Right? Let's just look at Netflix. So what do? They provide a service that you can subscribe to that lets you access a bunch of content that you can watch on whatever platform, day or night, 24/7, as long as you're a subscriber. And they even sometimes let you use multiple devices, etc., depending on your subscription plan. And you can even access various libraries of their content based on your geolocation, or if you've ever seen one of those ads for VPNs, you know that you can get a VPN and log in from another country to see content in the libraries that are usually exclusively available to the people whose IP address is located in that country. Now, what they do is, first of all, the reason that they do that, and I know it's annoying for a lot of consumers, why can't I see Spidey movie 3 or whatever if I'm in, Austria, but I can see it if I'm in the UK? Because there's different licensing deals of the content between the studios that make the content or the publishing houses that make the content and Netflix. That's why. Not every deal is universal. Certain deals have very localized distributions, others have more regional or international distributions, and some are global. Right? But not every piece of content is globally available. Part of the reason that is the way that it is because the people that make the content sell the content, and they don't always get a global deal on their hands. Would they like to? Probably, because it's more revenue for them for the piece of content in one sense. Like, it's more revenue at once, although it might not be more revenue for them when you spread out over however many markets they might sell to for that piece of content. It depends on the amount of energy, effort, resources, etc. that they need to spend to make that sale and get that contract with Netflix to distribute in whatever regions they are. And sometimes their global sale is easier. It lets them focus on making content and having easier sales overall. Maybe they make a bit less revenue from it, but maybe that's worth it from the point of view of they don't need to hire as many salespeople to make as many sales, to manage as many contracts, etc. So it really all depends on the piece of content being sold, and by whom it's being made, what their available resources are to actually handle those sales at scale. And yes, of course, you make the art once and you distribute it, as many times as it's distributed. So sure, in one sense, you're basically selling air. But it's air that's quite expensive to make when it comes to a platform like Netflix, because you have to have a relatively high quality piece of product. It could be a short TV show, it could be a very short, like a 5-minute cartoon thing or a video or whatever. It might be a half-hour type sitcom or drama. It might be an hour long. It might be a full-length movie or feature film. It might be a series. You name it. There's no shortage of different kinds of creative content being made that is being sold to that platform. And of course, they very often contract their own content, right? Netflix originals, whatever. They're just buying literally the production from an earlier stage of a particular producer or director or studio or content creator, and making that available through their own brand so that they can market it, etc. And it's the same with Amazon or Hulu or any of these other streaming services, right? They all have different content licensing deals, and so the distribution mechanisms are all very often based on your geolocation. And the same is true, by the way, if you buy computer products from Apple or Lenovo or Dell or whoever, Asus, doesn't matter. They all have separate deals for every business deal, right? It's never one size fits all. Even if you can only get, iPhones from Apple or authorized Apple resellers, if that's all they sell is Apple stuff, or from a site that sells a bunch of different things, the iPhone is still the maker of the Apple iPhone. Just like you might buy an Android from anyone, and there are tons of makers of Android. They have a different model, of course, than Apple. So anyone can make an Android phone because it's just software. But Android is made by a particular company. Originally, it was made by Android. They sold themselves to Google. Since then, Google has owned Android and made it, I guess the most popular OS in the world, right? Right up there with iOS, maybe more. It depends on the year and the demographic and the geolocation. But it is, Android versus iOS are the two top, phone and tablet OSs, right? So Netflix, for example, back to our example, takes the content and makes it available with very slick design on their portal, on their site, where you can see samples of what is available in their library that you can see. And they tend to have a very strong set of default content that they know appeals broadly to attract the people that are viewing that particular content, the default content. And that will typically be based on whatever information they can gather about you if you're the one visiting their site. So they might know your IP, They might know your age, your gender. How would they know this? They would know this by depending on how they brought you to their site. Maybe you're a customer of a telecom that has a deal with them. Maybe you just randomly stumbled on their site, but they have cookie information from you, from other data providers. There's no shortage of ways that they can try to triangulate a bit about you so that on your very first hit of the page, it's not a bunch of random content that you have absolutely no interest in, but it's actually based on your psychographic profile and your intent. How do they know your intent before you've done anything? Well, again, depends where you come from. What is your traffic source? You know, what drove you to the site? What search query led you there? What ad led you there? What word of mouth referral led you there to make you type that in directly into your browser? What referral network led you there? Or media partnership led you there? Or affiliate network led you there? There's no shortage of ways that you might have landed on that page. What email link did you click on? What link in WhatsApp did you click on? Who sent you the link? You know, they might have all this information, right? Existing customers might have entered their email address and other things. So when they see the link is coming from your inbox and it has a referral that tags your friend who sent you the link, guess what? They know who your friend is. They know a lot about them. They're already customers. And they know what kind of information you are more probable to have at least some passing interest in. And therefore, on the very first hit of the page, you'll see actually partially customized information. Yes, it's default information, and of course, if they know nothing about you, you will see a kind of default logged out user version of the site. And then they'll just show you their greatest hits in each category that they've selected to put on the page. And they usually pick those categories based on the conversion rates of those categories. So from the very first page, before they even know anything about you, they've already selected the best performing conversion rate material to drive you in and bring you home, close the deal, and make you a happy customer. And they do that by removing the barriers to entry, the obstacles and frictions that would keep you from otherwise becoming a customer. And again, every site that sells something of high value or of insignificant frequency that's a trusted brand, they all do this. You know, if you're going to Fiverr to buy marketing services, in the world of marketing, it is considered a trusted brand at this point because they've established since the very beginning that they're interested in providing a high value, high quality experience, despite whatever people might say about, you know, it's a service that offers a race to the bottom for the content creators or the marketers or whoever's providing the service. Nevertheless, the user experience and the user interface on Fiverr is exceptionally high compared to many other similar kind of platforms. And that's why they can justify taking whatever percentage they take on sales, because they bring in a lot of traffic and they deliver a lot of people to a lot of marketers and other freelancers trying to sell their wares by just having a gig up on their site or gigs up on their site and letting Fiverr do all the marketing. The same goes for Upwork or 99 Designs and other high quality freelancing sites. But there are also things that make high quality sites distinct from each other. And those matter too. All right, so the things that make them common, the things they have in common are the specific focus on reducing obstacles, reducing friction to convert people into becoming customers. And so they produce materials that are very likely to convert a lead prospect into a customer and then a repeat customer. And then, you know, somebody who's going to go out and tell the world about their favorite platform or product or service. A proselytizer, a preacher, an evangelist, if you will. But then things that make them distinct. Again, focus a lot on the uniqueness of their product or service. So for example, on Fiverr, one of the things that makes their product, their marketplace unique, is the fact that you can go on there, search for something you want, and if it's available, you'll get all their top sellers and second level sellers and first level sellers and new sellers ranked. You'll see how many ratings they have. You'll see information about the sellers. You'll see reviews about the sellers. You'll see that their entire platform has a very specific organization of the information for the categories you're searching through. You'll see that their search bar contains very relevant information when you're searching for it. You'll see that if you've made past service purchases, that they will recommend things to you that are probably relevant. And they'll basically provide you with an entire user experience that is a complete user experience if you're a person who needs to buy services on their platform, in their marketplace. And if you happen to go to 99 Designs, for example, it's a completely different user experience. It's also considered very high quality. It also is considered trusted and a very effective tool for marketers. But something that they do is they let you open a bid, offer a bid for bidders to bid on, where you say, okay, I want such and such to be designed. Please send me your bids. And you'll then get offers from the sellers, as opposed to on Fiverr, where you go and ask the sellers for their service. And you can communicate with them, etc., before you purchase. Some are better than others at communicating. And that has a lot to do with the conversion rate of those individual sellers. On 99 Designs, the designers are sending you a whole bunch of different design offers, sketches, and bid prices, etc., to try to win your business. And you can argue again that there too, it's also a race to the bottom, because people are basically giving you, free sketch ideas and prices, etc., and you can always negotiate with the designers. But you could just as easily then take the best sketch idea and go to the cheapest designer and say, hey, instead of your sketch, can you do this? And if they say yes, great, you got it for a cheaper price. And if they say no, you go to the next cheapest, and so on until you find the one who will do it for you. Meanwhile, you've undercut the effective sale of the person who originally made that sketch in the first place. And sometimes that works out for the better, economically, for small marketers. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you would have been better off paying a slightly higher fee to get it done by an actual pro, as opposed to someone just starting out. And, price has its advantage sometimes. Right? Not everything that's cheap is better, but also not everything that's more expensive is better. So you have to be able to finesse, and you do that by looking at their portfolios, seeing what else they've worked on and produced, and what prices they charged, right? And when they did that. Because if you're looking at works from 3 years ago or 5 years ago, their prices very likely have gone up if they consistently worked in the space and made a bunch of sales. And if they've been, generally increasing their prices over time in a fair way. The same thing goes for if you're buying a hardware product, or an educational product, or a food service. And if you're buying Blue Apron, you go on their site, you have a different experience than if you buy from, some other food delivery service that helps you make meals easier, right? They all have their distinct value propositions and selling points. And these things are extremely important, because those are the things which will make the difference between to buy or not to buy in the mind of the consumer. So keep those things in mind. Focus on the conversion rate as a key metric for your marketing efforts and for your sales efforts, because they literally are a key metric for you. It's one of your main key KPIs. by far. It's not the be all and end all, but if you have no conversion rate, again, no sales, no business. So bear that in mind. Know the differences. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, write them in the comments below or message me. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, happy marketing.